Extraterrestrials, welcome to Wednesday on Tilby. I'm Zan and I will be your host for today. This fortnight's theme is special skills / how to, so I'm going to show you how to do something that I am good at doing. I am good at making things out of duct tape, and today I'm going to show you how to make this wallet out of duct tape. It's pretty good, it's very simple, very basic, so let's get into the things that you're going to need. You're going to need duct tape, obviously. I'm using PVC duct tape, which is plastic. Quite stretchy, quite good, comes in different colours. You can also use cloth duct tape, which is a little more durable and sometimes a bit easier to work with, and it comes in all sorts of different colours and patterns and stuff and textures, which is quite cool. You're going to need something to cut on. I use the back of a sketch pad as well, which is quite good, something that you don't mind cutting into and that you can stick the tape onto and peel it off and it's not going to get damaged. We need a cutting surface because we're using this. A Stanley knife, you can also use an X-Acto knife, but I prefer a Stanley knife for cutting straight edges. For cutting a very nice straight edge, we are going to use a ruler. You can also use a tape measure for measuring out how long the tape pieces are, but a ruler is recommended for cutting. You can use scissors to cut instead of a knife if you don't have a knife or you're not very confident with a knife or you don't have a cutting surface, but be warned it will gum up your scissors, something awful. And finally a pen to be sure that you're cutting along the right lines. Also, just in case, get a card. Make sure that your card holders are big enough to fit a card, because obviously if they're not, then the wallet's going to be pretty useless. And that's all, so let's get started. Okay, so we've got two pieces of tape here, about 10 inches long or 25 centimeters, and they're sticky side up. We're lying them across one another, overlapping by about ½ centimeter, and we're going to repeat that 3 times. Once you've got that, you lie that sticky side up on your working surface, as you can see, and we're going to cover it with tape going the other way to avoid the risk of it coming apart. So we're sticking those down, getting as few bubbles as possible. Don't be afraid to stick it to the cutting surface, and you want extra on the sides so that you're not risking having any of the adhesive exposed. So cover that all the way up, and then you can peel that right off your cutting surface. Once you've done that, what we're going to do is cut off the excess on the sides, cutting with the sticky side up, especially if you're using scissors, because it will ruin your scissors if you go the other way. You might want to use a ruler if you're not too practiced with a cutting knife. And now we've got that. So we're going to do that twice because you need 2 pieces, one for each side of the wallet. Next, what we're going to do once we've got our 2 pieces is use a note and a card to make sure that we've got the right size. So as you can see, it is much bigger than the note, and it needs to be big enough for 2 cards across, which it clearly is more than enough. What we're going to do next is cut it down to size, this time using a set square and a marker to make sure that we're cutting just right. We want our angles to be perfect, but we will be cutting it a little bit more. Next, we're going to join the 2 pieces. Always put the tape on one piece first, and then flip that over and add the other piece. Otherwise, you're risking getting the angle wrong and it not quite folding right, or having adhesive exposed in the join, which isn't good. So lie that down and line it up as nicely as you can, like this, and then cut off the excess on the sides. Next, we're going to take our card and mark out where we want our card to sit. We're going to leave about ½ centimeter on either side of the center fold. That way it'll fold neatly. And once you've done that, you're going to cut off the excess, leave about ½ inch to 1 inch off the end of the card so that you have room for the tape that's going to join the card holders to the wallet, and cut that off in as straight a line as you can get. Once we've done that, we're going to fold it in half and push that fold down as best we can. If it's not sitting in that fold too nicely, put it underneath a book for a while. That'll help. Now what we're going to do is seal the ends. I've already sealed this end. I've sealed it as neatly as possible, only on the outside. What we're going to do is start by pressing from that original already sealed end, fold it in half and press from the center fold to get the other end to line up as nicely as possible without any bubbles, because these 2 sides will bubble because they're folded in half. We're going to hold firmly onto that unsealed end and then seal that end the same way as we did before, but making sure that we seal it exactly how it is that we are holding it. That way it folds nicely. See how there's no sort of bubbles in the middle there? The 2 sides fold together quite nicely, even though they will inevitably be 2 different sizes. Next, we're going to attach our card holders. We've marked out where they're going to go, and we're using sheets of tape folded in half or made in the same way as we made the other ones. We're going to use a half strip of tape to attach them on the inside of where the card will go, as straight as possible, and we're going to repeat that twice on each side so that we have 4 card holders, only attaching them at the bottom. So now that we've attached all of those, sealing the joins on both sides, inside and out, we're going to make sure that it folds nicely without any bubbles. And then we're going to attach the sides. We're going to use one thin piece of tape for the center there, using something to weigh it down so that it sits as flat as we want it to, and stick it down as nicely as possible, making sure that there's no bubbles and it folds nicely like this. And we're going to cut off any excess that we have here. See? Now we're going to attach the outsides using another half strip of tape where the tape's been cut down the center vertically, and we're going to fold this one around to the outside, making sure that there is not a whole lot of overlap into where the card will go, so that it fits nicely like this. So once you've repeated those steps for all 4 strips, you see that you can hold 4 cards quite nicely, and it's ready to go. So I hope your wallet turned out nicely. If you want to make something a little more fancy, like this one, which has a change purse on the side, all you need to do is make a strip long enough to go down one side and add a little bit extra on the end so that you can, it has some space in it, and attach that on either side. Make another little piece for the top flap there, and add some press studs. Press studs are pretty good. You'll need a hammer to install them, but they're really cheap, and they're pretty handy dandy. And you can add a little flippy bit on the side to hold it closed, especially for girls, because I know girls, generally have something with a bit of a button or something to keep it in place. Also, something I like to do is put the cards in vertically this way instead of having them horizontally. That way you can fit more cards across, because I know I carry a crap load of cards. Alright, so that's all from me for today. Making stuff out of duct tape is really fun. There's all sorts of things you can make. You can make something a bit bigger just out of sheets, or do something that I quite like to do, which is weaving the duct tape out of making it into strips and then weaving it. It's quite fun. It's a really good idea for Christmas gifts because it's cheap and people really enjoy the novelty of it, and all the stuff is very durable, and even if it does start to fall apart after a while, it doesn't really matter because it's made out of duct tape. So yeah, that's all from me. Hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, I've been Zan, bringing you that little bit extra.